All right, so again, welcome Wes and Gary. Our training is going to begin here. Again, Wes, this is your second time through, so excuse me, third time through, but happy to bring new people on board here and help them understand UV, indoor air quality, and a whole lot more. I'm actually, just so you know, Gary, I'm actually Wes's Pro 1 thermostats rep and Ultravation rep. We represent a lot of product lines here in the Northeast. So I've been doing this for a while. I've actually been in the field. I've gone along with contractors. I geek out about wiring and technology thanks to tech school when I was much younger. So I can't hang at your level of HVAC installs, but I can catch up. So, but one thing I know about is UV. So we're going to dig into that today. So quick review, we're going to be hitting on what is indoor air quality technology in reference to today, how this ties in with a lot of the verbiage that is directly pulled from the ASHRAE guidelines, basically UVC, UVGI. We're going to make sure this is tied to the recommendations as well as the CDC guidelines that were refreshed and reminded to everybody about 2 months ago when this all started happening. And then we have a product alignment with what Wes and P&N Distribution are going to be working with. So you help understand there's different product offerings, but we have a lot of technology, but we really try to hone it down to some good, better, best situations that P&N is bringing into stock for you guys. So real quick, one thing I like to dive into real quick is an average system design, right? This is obviously not all of them. This is obviously like an attic space, an upstairs unit laying over. But we always remind people that there's basically 3 phases of IAQ as far as ultravation is concerned. Granted, there's more beyond just filtration, UV disinfection, and UV air purification. There's also obviously different technology out there for humidity controls and ways to bring in fresh air or makeup air, et cetera. But as far as this company, we're hitting the 3 biggest concerns, which is actually dealing with contamination. So in the upper right-hand corner real quick, and I'll get this later in the training, this second image up here is actually a mock-up showing our Orion, which is an ion generator for ionization, which also helps clean the air, but also actually really boosts the ability of a filter to catch particulates, and I'll explain that in a little while. So real quick, we're gonna get all the buzzwords out of the way, make your life a lot easier. UVGI, PCO, and ionization. Now, in general, most people just say UV. They say ultraviolet light, UV, and they stop there. And it's really important that as a professional, you guys are using the right terminology because per the ASHRAE guidelines and all the training they go through in Chapter 62, they heavily focus on the term UVGI. And long story short, and I have no slide on that, this is just saying, hey, if I'm applying UVC lamps into an HVAC system, then you're actually applying UVGI technology upgrades into an HVAC system. Doesn't matter if it's residential, commercial, et cetera. So 2 other technologies that are heavily now used in IAQ and indoor air quality is PCO and ionization. One's called photocatalytic oxidation, and the other one is called ionization. Photocatalytic oxidation is only possible if you have a UVC wavelength bulb, and if you are working with non-UV customers, meaning they don't like UV, or they're looking to just work with ionization, then obviously we have ionization that does not use any UV technology whatsoever. It's actually involving positively and negatively charging the ions in the air. And as I hinted earlier, it helps the filter catch more particulates, and we'll go into that a little bit later. But for real quick, we're going to switch the screen share over to an animation video to help you understand PCO, because this is very important. This has been out for a while now. This is definitely helps you amplify what a UVC lamp can do by actually breaking down VOCs and other airborne smells, odors, et cetera, while it's installed in the HVAC system. So this is a quick animation video. We're going to pop through it here in a few seconds, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask.
Here's how it works. The UV Photomax Advanced Oxidation Module is coated with an exclusive titanium dioxide formulation. When UV light is applied to the surface, the titanium dioxide coating becomes energized, causing it to release electrons. The electrons then combine with oxygen to create what are known as superoxides. The titanium dioxide then collects replacement electrons from moisture in the air to become charged particles known as hydroxyl radicals. Together with the superoxides, a powerful photocatalytic oxidation, or PCO field, is created. As odors, germs, mold, and other VOC organic molecules approach the PCO field, they are disassembled as the oxidizers pull electrons from them. The purification process is completed, with the remaining molecules recombining to form simple water vapor and trace amounts of carbon dioxide. Ultravation's advanced oxidation process.
All right, so summing that up, we talked about putting UVC lamps in an HVAC piece of equipment for coil application, obviously surface area disinfection. When you're involving PCO, this is all about airborne stuff. So whether, again, fungus, airborne spores, viruses, this is helping amplify the air purification, not the air. I mean, yes, there's air disinfection happening, but we're not dealing with surfaces, we're adding in air purification. That's what PCO is doing. Long story short, without the titanium dioxide coating plus UV lamp combined, you can't create PCO. That's what it does. And we put it on metal surfaces of products. We put it infused into carbon products as well to help make sure that actually if you do a carbon product, which we'll show you in a little bit, it actually helps absorb any possible ozone byproduct as well. Because that is a known factor byproduct of UVC lamps, especially if you're using PCO, is that there's a very, very, very small percentage of the population that's actually sensitive to the ozony smell, as we like to call it. And it's kind of like a medical office type of smell, very sterile, but a very, very small percentage of the population might actually be sensitive to it. So we always want to make sure you guys know about that. It's not dangerous. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just some people notice it more than others. And then we would probably want to help steer them one way or another regarding a zero ozone product or one that at least is adjustable and they can kind of dial it back a notch. So the other thing here that we're going to be sharing is just a quick animation on the actual ionization as well. No audio on this one. Long story short, again, no UVC technology at all. No UVGI. You're not doing a UVC lamp at all. We're putting ionization into the air. It's basically we have a generator that creates a mini thunderstorm in your HVAC system. So that's how it happens. Electrical charge gets popped into the air. It takes the dirt. It's actually pushing out negative and positive. That helps them attract to each other. And then these micro-sized elements that you normally cannot see to the human eye are basically starting to stick together while they're in the air, and that helps your filter catch more of them. This is just, again, another component of IAQ. And this is a great solution if you have to talk to somebody residentially who knows they're sensitive to ozone and they want absolutely no chance of any ozone. They might be completely against UV whatsoever, even though we call for it in the ASHRAE guidelines. We recommend UV, but hey, if you can't, great, that's fine. We can still work with ionization and really still help clear up the air as well. So those two videos are basically helping explain PCO and ionization. Again, one is involving UV, one is not. So that's just all the crazy buzzwords. Once you get the verbiage out of your way, again, as I remind people, we pulled this image directly from the guidelines. Again, Chapter 62 is dedicated to HVAC applications of UV lamps, UVC wavelength bulbs, and obviously that term of UVGI technology. And we like to just tie it together here so people know that we weren't just making this stuff up. This is definitely documented and trained on. The biggest thing in that chapter I always like to see pulled out of all of the pages that they've included is you're addressing surfaces and or you're addressing airstream. And we have all the links to this stuff actually on our website too. So if for some reason you ever wanted to see Chapter 62, they actually, luckily for us, published it as a public PDF document to download. So even if you didn't have access to the entire massive ASHRAE guideline listing that you got to pay for, you can at least see Chapter 62 publicly. So we have all that stuff available if you need it. And so let's get some more tech out of the way. This is just that part that I was going to explain about UVC and UVGI. Long story short, there's lots of different forms of UV light, from X-ray machines all the way across to the visible light that we don't really notice, but it's coming from the sun. That's all UV light. The difference is where are you at in the spectrum? And per the CDC, per ASHRAE, and per our company and most of the other IAQ companies out there, we are only working with UVC wavelength bulbs because that is the perfect packet of energy that has been tested and confirmed through the scientific method to kill live microorganisms. So whether we're talking about surface area stuff growing on a coil or it's airborne viruses, when we're involving technology using UVC light, that is what will kill these surface and airborne particulates. That is what will help break these things down and inhibit growth on coils. It'll help break down airborne components. Obviously, if you can add PCO in along with it, as we just went over, that amplifies your ability to create really purified air inside a home or a business. So sum up on that slide, UVC is the most dangerous and is what is going to kill things. And again, for this slide, that's why whenever you're on a job or someone ever wants to ask you the understanding of UVC versus UVGI, again, UVGI is basically impossible unless you have a UVC class wavelength bulb per the ASHRAE guidelines. If you're installing a UVA or UVB bulb, because those are different wavelengths, you're not doing the job. So any products you ever look at must be at a UVC wavelength lamp. And once you install it, these are different ways of saying it, right? I can, hey, oh, great, I'm going to address coil only. Cool. I'm putting UVGI on the coil. I'm putting a UVC lamp-based air induct solution in that maybe has PCO, maybe it doesn't. Great. I'm doing UVGI in the airstream, so on and so forth. And that stuff also applies right over the commercial world. Again, all of our commercial products are UVC wavelength, so there's no rocket science there. You're going to, like we're talking about today, and what Wes and you were talking about is looking for the right solutions for a commercial job. You'll be saying, hey, great, I'm using UVC wavelength bulbs on a commercial product, and we'll be applying UVGI technology onto that job site into that HVAC system. So quick clarification. Since you came and found us basically around commercial, I like to remind people that all of our commercial products have T3 class bulbs. I clarify that because there's regular UVC bulbs and there's our patented T3 UVC bulbs. And we have both available in our residential products. So people can get on the lower end, they can go just basic 1-year life, standard UVC wavelength bulbs. They burn 9,000 hours. They're guaranteed to stay lit for 2 years. But after the 9,000 hours, after that first year of operation, 24/7, you should really be on a maintenance cycle to swap the bulbs because you've already burned through anywhere from 40 to 60% of the bulb's potency. So after that first year, you're on that downward trend and the bulb isn't actually getting the job done anymore. What we did was he said, okay, especially on the commercial side, what can we do to help the bulbs reach their peak performance and stay there? And this is obviously especially important in medical applications, especially large commercial public environments. Well, we figured out, great, let's not ever worry about the temperature of the HVAC system, the time of year it's in, or also the possible filth and other components that are coming by that lamp. So we figured out that, hey, we can make a casing and slide the bulb into the casing, insulating it. Clear quartz is the material. And then they just trap a little gas in there as an insulation layer between the bulb and the quartz. Well, long story short, that helped kind of, so to speak, bulletproof the bulb because now we're not affected by cold temperatures, cooling it a season in the summer with the HVAC system. So that bulb, while it's plugged in and powered, is going to run strong like it's supposed to do, which means in this graph here, typical 9,000 hour bulbs, the 1-year lives, you're only going to maybe hit 70 to 80% potency of that bulb potential because it can never hit its perfect burn rate. Well, great. We go T3, it's insulated, it's protected. I can hit that 100 percentile of the maximum burn of that UV bulb. It's doing its job. It's not being affected by the temperature or any other things. And it's definitely a much stronger bulb as well. People have told me you can clearly see the difference. You pull a traditional bulb and a T3 out. So again, that's just our patented design. That's standard across all of our commercial products to ensure we're getting 40% more energy out of that bulb. You're paying for electricity, you might as well get its max benefit. And then I'll show you in a bit, we have our higher end lifetime warranted products for residential ductwork. Those are also T3 standard as well. Again, some of our lower end stuff, we give you the option to get standard 1-year maintenance. But if you put any of our products in to have T3, basically if you sign up a contract or a customer on a preventative maintenance cycle, those bulbs only have to be changed once every 2 years. So I like this slide. This is probably the most educational for people. I think Wes agreed after our training. This is a nice, quick, simple sum up on, okay, surface area bacteria versus airborne viruses, right? There's a whole sliding scale there. So we pulled this off of our commercial side of education, but I like to use it for both residential and commercial, which is why I'm putting it here now. And whether you're dealing with streptococcus or like some staphylococcus, basically staph infection, et cetera, these are all things that are on the surface. So if I had a meat prep area in a grocery store and I wanted to make sure there's no humans around because UVC light is dangerous and I'm going to shine a bulb over that surface that night, I'm going to kill stuff that was on that surface. So that's what we're looking to address when we're dealing with coils. But as you move up to more of an airborne concern, right, you're moving into echovirus at the top there, all the different strains of influenza. These are all more airborne things, airborne spores, et cetera. So you have to really now look at a job site as, okay, am I dealing with residential, sorry, not residential or commercial, but am I dealing with surface area and or airstream? So the most common question I ask somebody is, what are you looking to solve for? If you're just looking to have a better smelling air, okay, we could just put an airstream solution in, but keep in mind, if you have no light shining on the coil inside the HVAC system and there's moisture and dirt collecting on there that passes by the filter, you're going to have another possible science experiment going on there. So great, we're purifying the air, but we forgot about the surface stuff. So I always tell people, make sure you understand that, hey, we should be addressing a job based on what the customer's looking for and what kind of level of disinfection rate. If they're looking for clean air, well, we can do that in so many different ways. Okay, so residential solutions. We do a lot of stuff. We just kind of honed it down to a couple key areas just to help you guys understand what we're working with. Obviously, we're a full IAQ company. We do all the high-end filtration as well. There's that Orion ion generator I was telling you earlier about. We do ionization, so you can improve filtration, do some other air purification with non-UV technology here. We actually make a universal UVC lamp kit for mini splits and ductless. That is a huge explosive industry. And it's one of the few things you could ever do to upgrade a ductless head is, okay, once you clean it, make sure you put some lamps in there to help prevent some of that petri dish effect happening in that, because that is very common depending on the job site, depending on the home, depending on where they're at in this state, for example, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware. Some are more prone to IAQ issues than others. So either way, those ductless heads are walking science experiments on the wall. We also make portable products. So this desktop unit here at the bottom of the slide, this is great for people who don't have ductwork, they don't have ductless. You just might have a target room or environment you want to purify the air in. Well, that desktop unit's actually, you can see the set of keys there. It's not a huge unit. It's only like 9 inches by 9 inches, like 3 inches high. But it has the UVC lamp in there. It has our carbon in there that has the PCO capability. So you're gaining a lot of benefits for a 500 square foot space. So this is a great product to put in an area that you have really no HVAC solutions to install our products on. Great, you can still use this. Going from the bottom up around to the right, I'll dig into each of these products here in a second. Like P&N, for example, the first product here, that's our throwaway kind of entry-level product for people. Like literally you just grab that black module, pull the whole product out and throw it away every single year or every 2 years, depending on if you get the T3 version. And we also have a beefed up version that P&N's also bringing into stock for more of like if you're doing a good, better, best offering, that's your in the middle. And then we have a couple different top end options that are lifetime warranted here in the upper right. Specifically, actually P&N decided to bring in the UV catalyst. That's the one that's actually all carbon. So that is a zero ozone product. Both products on top here create PCO, but the catalyst will ensure that it's a zero ozone offering. Just like the two below here, as long as you got carbon, all three of the tiers of products can be offered as a zero ozone product because the carbon is a natural odor absorber and it actually pulls the ozone byproduct into that. So that's just a quick high level. Here's just a quick expansion on each one. Don't worry, Wes has got the digital PDFs. I can get you all this if you need to, whatever you decide to show somebody. But this is a quick just overview on, we recommend the Advantage really more coil because it's not a huge product. It's not designed to treat, a 3,000 to 5,000 square foot property. This is great. If I just want to do a throwaway bulb, stick it right over top of a coil, let's say, under an A coil, or I want to put it over top of an N coil application in the plenum. So it's, within 12 inches of the surface area of the coil. Great. Cool. That's super cost effective. Is it our higher end lifetime warranty bulb, 2-year light bulbs and such? Yes and no. It's not the same interchangeable bulb design we have with our lifetime warranty products. As I hinted, you're gonna have to install this in a way so you have access to that black module and you're gonna be swapping that entire module every single year. The carbon would stay installed in a ductwork if you decide to include that accessory. Long story short, we're giving you in 12-inch and 17-inch options so you can cover that coil surface. It is a throwaway design, and that way you can offer it as always in warranty. And you can get it in a 1-year or 2-year lamp life version. So as I hinted, standard or that upgraded T3 version of that. And again, it is scalable. Say again?
Which one did we bring in for stock, the 2-year or the 1-year, do you know?
You're asking me at the wrong time, bro. I can look it up. I saw that PO like 2 weeks ago. I don't even remember.
Yeah, no, not a big deal. I can get with Dan on that.
Yeah, so the point is that it comes down to you want a 1-year PM cycle or a 2-year PM cycle.
Yeah.
That's all. So, and actually from a cost benefit, he might have brought in the 2-year life just to stay consistent because with the rest of the offering. Whereas other people that they want to go bottom dollar, great, we'll give you a 1-year life product because maybe they do have these contracts where they're going into the home or, every single year. And one thing I like to call out on all of our slides here is that whole right there in bottom right. These are not consumer products. If you find these sold somewhere online, that's because somebody bought a bunch of them and a contractor might be selling them on Amazon or something through his little store. Not possible. We don't support that. We don't condone that. All of our products obviously are through companies like P&N, direct to the contractor, so they're installed right, offered right, and we don't deal with misinformed consumer base. It's all about the pro trade here. So this is the upgraded version of that, what I just talked about. So the cool thing is it's going to use the same exact lamp module. So if you ever had to stock spares, well, whether you're doing that entry-level version or you're going to do this upgraded Advantage Power PCO, same exact lamps. It's just, are you doing 12-inch or 17-inch or 1-year life or 2-year life? That's it. There's 4 bulbs. That's it. The advantage here, though, is that with the Advantage Power PCO is we beefed it up a little bit more with more PCO. Again, at the last version here, I'll swing back. You don't have to buy this with the PCO carbon module. You could just get the lamp by itself. You could just add that on as shown here as an accessory. But as the Advantage Power PCO, this only comes with the T3 class bulb. So this is a upgrade, right? And you have the carbon standard and you have 2 additional panels of metal with holes drilled in, which basically increases that surface area of titanium dioxide that we were talking about and showing in the video. So this product will produce more PCO to create more air purification and more deodorization. But obviously, thanks to having a carbon module, it is still a zero ozone byproduct. So this is your middle tier that P&N is making available because, hey, great, I've got a lot more PCO going on. I've got the better 2-year life bulbs. I got 40% more UV. And I'm going to get a little more bang for my buck out of that install. So that is it, basically like a middle tier right now with P&N. And then this is one of the higher end solutions I was talking about. The difference between this one and the one I'm going to show you next is this one has the ionization technology also included in it, whereas our catalyst does not. But the difference is, even with all that ionization and all this cool tech on this one, I can't call this a zero ozone product. That's not the end of the world. It's not dangerous. It's not a problem, but some people are sensitive. Whereas the catalyst, as I'll show you in a second, is a zero ozone product because there's no metal. It's all treated carbon instead. And that's actually what I have in my house because I'm going to flip this property into a rental. So I don't ever want to worry about a tenant as I rotate over the years worrying about ozone. I just remove it as a variable. I can always add on that ion generator separately and still have ionization in my system if I wanted to. The biggest reason why the Solaris here, and then the next slide, let's go ahead and switch over to our catalyst, is that both of these products, you can add on a coil lamp bulb on a single install. So as shown here at the bottom left, notable options, adding on a 12-inch or a 17-inch easy light, or you can just leave it a standalone product. Same thing with the catalyst. You can leave it as a standalone induct install, or you can add on that coil lamp bulb there. So the great thing there is, whether you work with either one or both, our easy light is standard, 12-inch or 17-inch, you add that on, but you're only having to wire one product. So you wire up the main power head here for the catalyst, or obviously the Solaris, very similar power heads there. And then when you buy the add-on lamp for the coil, you just get a Y jack, and that head's going to power both systems. So a lot easier on the install. A lot of people don't, these are both lifetime warranty products if you get our SS versions of these, and that's what you guys brought into stock is our lifetime warranty product. So if for some reason something ever failed, it's the power head. We're just going to drop ship you a new power head. You really rip the old one off and slap the new one on. Because these are our better products, they also have built-in lamp monitoring right on the head. So you can walk right on by the HVAC system, look up there, and you can see it's going to tell you if the lamp is working or not. It'll monitor that. It'll shut it down if it fails. So there's a lot of extra bells and whistles when you deal with the higher-end induct solutions. But obviously, these are our Airstream recommendations. And then the big win there is you're able to add on that bulb. I'm not going to dig too heavily in this one because obviously we're really trying to work with the catalyst here with P&N because it's a zero ozone offering. But if you would ever compare our Solaris to the competition, like Remy Halo or the APCO product, basically we're winning across the board because that Solaris is more beefed up. We have twice as much ionization going on included in the product than what the Remy Halo makes. We have a dual band frequency bulb in there, so it's actually creating more UV generation versus the competition. We actually have, again, the lifetime warranty product. The Remy Halo's not. Again, we want to be able to add on a coil lamp bulb so we can address surface area. None of these products do it. Only our Solaris and our Catalyst do that. So the expandability is a huge selling point as well. All right, so let's also talk about real quick ductless. I don't know if you hit a lot of this stuff or not. A lot of contractors are coming across them more and more and sell a lot of them and install a lot of them versus the traditional ducted world. So long story short, that's what the kit looks like. I actually took this photograph on a live install in a contractor's office in the Poconos on a Mitsubishi head. Long story short, it's a universal kit. It'll plug and tap power off of any system out there. It doesn't even care what power it is. We have an auto sensing power module in there. So even if you didn't install the equipment, you can at least provide this upgrade to provide a cleaner head or heads to the consumer that you're working with. And again, we give the option of doing 1 or 2 lamps, which is nice if you had a really, really small head on a home, like a small office or something like that. And you only need enough UV being generated for one coil. Great, save the second bulb for later. So this is a great product for non-ducted systems. Again, that'll work residentially or commercially. There's the Orion generator again. Again, this is where if you do not want to address UV in a system, or you are doing UV and you want to add ionization on, this is a product you would traditionally put in your return right before the filter, because again, this will help basically build up that positive and negative ion field, get the dirt to stick together more, get those particulates to catch in the filter better. So you're kind of beefing up the filtration ability. And again, no ozone product. Actually, a lot of companies also use these for ice machines and PTAC units as well. Again, more commercial. And a reminder, we do all the IAQ stuff for filtration. So everything from MERV 11 to MERV 13 class filters. We don't have the pressure drop issues. So when you're designing your systems, we give you 32 feet of filter in these pleated filters so that we don't have to weave them as tight. We don't have the problems that a lot of companies have with pressure drops. In the IAQ world, a lot of contractors have stopped at the MERV 8 level. They don't move up to the MERV 11 or the MERV 13. I have a MERV 13 in my house. I'm literally able to trap auto emissions. That's how good these filters are. So, and we make our own, fabricate our own filtration boxes as well, high-end, straight throughs, right angles, even the nice support boxes. P&N, thanks to their relationship, they can actually get these color matched to your brand equipment for free. That's a free service. Not every company wholesaler can do that, but P&N's got a better relationship. And we'll even do private labeling on the doors, as you can see with the center one there. Throw your brand on it, get your name out there, and make sure that you own that property for callbacks. So that's just a quick reminder on the residential front. Here's what triggered your call today. Commercial. And in the commercial world, there's really only 4 solutions. Now, granted, these solutions are scalable depending on the job site, what you're trying to solve for. As you saw the stuff I shared with Wes, we've got a quote guideline thing, like questions to ask, etc. So this is just a quick overview of what they look like, what they're going to get into, and I'm going to dig into that more right now. When you step onto a job site, this is the most important question to ask. Just like in residentially, what are you solving for? There's the blue and green graph again. On the left is a representation of our surface area systems, the SI racks for these bigger coils. The mock-up in the middle is our Airstream, the AS version. This is dealing with, obviously, a large supply duct, going into a commercial space. So again, we always remind people, hey, we should really be talking about surface and air, but that's going to come down to the job and what you're trying to work on. And that'll help us figure out which products to work with. So UV matrix, most common used in a large commercial site, especially if the coil area is large enough to support our racking. Our racks are telescoping. They are shipped actually, closed in together, and then you just pull them out from left to right across the entire width of the coil. And then per that prior slide, if the coils are very tall in these large systems, you may have to go multiple racks up to address the entire vertical surface area of multiple coils. And those types of big environments usually have drain pans and everything else. So the biggest thing for this one is we're really addressing surface area, but because all that air in a commercial space is passing back through that massive coil space, you are gaining some Airstream benefit out as well. You're just not going to be at the level of that graph we were talking about, where I want to hit maximum airborne virus control, you've got to be dealing with coil and then adding in an Airstream solution. So, and again, we will adjust these bulb distances depending on what the customer wants. So like standard is like 70 to 80% disinfection rate. That's what like racks like this look like. But if this person's trying to gain a 90+% disinfection rate out of their commercial solution, we may adjust the bulb distance from top to bottom to get them closer together. Because obviously as the bulbs get closer together, you're really tightening your field. And then we may have to add more racks of bulbs, obviously, to help cover that. It really depends on what the job is, how big the coil is, what is their disinfection goal, stuff like that. Now, I was talking to Wes earlier. Once we're done with this, we can go over your job a little bit more. But this is another option to address surface area coil and or Airstream, because what if you're dealing with a small rooftop unit or a small commercial unit and you don't have the ability to fit a rack in there? Well, then I would go with one of our 4X models, or there's also an easy UV version an easy light where we just give you the long bulb and a directional shield, and you plug that sucker in wherever you want, as long as you got the space. I mean, you can go up to like 22-inch bulbs if you need to. But with the UV matrix, this is popular because that's a NEMA 4X rated enclosure. That's why it's called the 4X version of the series. So it's all waterproof, completely sealed. And the big win here is that we could put these UV bulbs into a space in front of a coil or right at an access to supply the air from the coil. And you're not putting all that electronic hardware inside the HVAC equipment. Everything is externally outside of the equipment, as you can see here with the power box. And then you're just cutting access holes to get the UV bulbs into that area. And I've seen jobs where they've actually installed more than one of these. If the coil was big enough that one of these didn't cover enough of it, but it was still smaller than our SI racks, then we might come in from the left or right or the top or the bottom or wherever the place is to put these in and have these bulbs kind of meet in the middle and cover the entire coil surface area. So this is another great option that you may find works depending on this job you're working on. Per the blue and green graph, I'm reminding here again, we've just been talking about coil with a little bit of Airstream benefit. This is what an Airstream solution looks like. And when we make these in 3 bulbs, 4 bulbs, etc., the bulbs are spaced about 10 inches apart because from 10 to 12 inches, you're getting a maximum dose of UVC wavelength out of the bulbs. And then it just comes down to how long the bulbs are and how much air is moving through that ductwork. But that's why the AS is called, AS is Airstream related. We are not addressing surface area concerns. We're dealing with the air moving through that supply duct before it distributes out to the rest of the offices or whatever that commercial space is. The other nice little last bullet point there is these are scalable too. If somebody wanted to add in PCO to get some of that photocatalytic process going on a commercial solution, we can add that on as well. Now, again, these types of installs, it depends on how big the ductwork is, what is the feet per minute of the air moving by. All this stuff is on that guideline application that I sent Wes when we start talking about commercial quotes. And then the last big hit on the commercial side of things, if you ever step onto a job, and maybe they already have all the stuff we have, but they're trying to really improve a wide open airspace. This was popular overseas for us, over in Europe and such, and now it's come back here to the States more and more, especially with what's going on right now with COVID and Corona. People are trying to increase purifying of the air in a wide open space. So that's why this product is called the upper room or the upper level design. This is actually called out in Chapter 62 of the ASHRAE guidelines. So they specifically talk about wide open spaces. But long story short, this is not a huge product. It's got 2 UVC wavelength bulbs in it, and then a set of louvers, and it's all encased in a metal box that we fabricate at the factory. You can get them in stainless steel. You can get them in powder coat finish, just like our filter boxes. But long story short, this is regarding a large space, cafeterias, wide open libraries, huge lobbies, areas where maybe you can't get everything covered with a ductwork solution, or maybe you don't have ductwork, I don't know. But this is dealing with natural convective air. So cold air on the bottom of the floor, hot air on the top of the floor, that temperature, that natural movement of temperature is actually moving air and people don't realize it. And that's the advantage of this type of design, is it's naturally gonna move that convective air past the UV bulbs and get that disinfection you're looking for. We have a few more graphs here I've added in now, just helping people understand how, the distance, from the position from the wall moving outward, your level of irradiance, going outward So with these types of units, they're basically teaching people, listen, if you have a big space, you're going to need more than one of these. This is really to handle like 225 square feet. So you might have, if you got a large, lobby with 5 doors going in all different directions coming off of a lobby, for example, and it's 750 to 1,000 square feet space or greater, you're going to see possibly more than one of these boxes installed. And again, because it's called the upper room, you need at least 7 feet of ceiling height to install something like this. This is not supposed to be low level where people can look right at it through the louvers. That's why those louvers are designed to keep the light shining upward and not 100% open to the naked eye. So again, large, wide open spaces, get more popular here. As a reminder, I'm your rep for a lot of lines here. But that would conclude basically residential, commercial, etc. I'm actually going to stop recording here so we can actually talk a little bit more and cover more questions if you have anything, especially that job specific.